Hello, my beautiful crafty friends. So last week I shared a video where I did a walkthrough of these two Gothic themed albums, and I had many requests for a tutorial, so that is what we're going to do today. So let me just go through all the materials that we'll need first, and then we'll get started. Okay, you'll need a couple sheets of chipboard. Mine are quite large, so you might not need a piece this big. We're gonna need two pieces that are 6 by 9 and then the spine piece. I have like a fairly thin chipboard, so I like to double it up so it's a really nice and thick, but totally up to you how thick you want that to be. We will of course need our cardstock. I haven't counted how many pieces I used. My guess is 20 or so. I'm using 8.5 by 11. You will need a ATG, or if you don't have a tape runner, you can just use score tape. And so you also need some score tape. I like to use both of them. This is just for, I just use the ATG for adhering the pattern paper, and I use the score tape. I have a couple different sizes in conjunction with a liquid adhesive for all the construction. You'll need a ruler and some magnets. Magnet-wise, I think it was 22 disc magnets. These are 10 millimeter by 1 millimeter. You will need some scissors, a paper trimmer, and then of course your scoreboard with a bone folder and scoring tool. And then of course whatever pattern paper you will be using. Okay, I'm gonna get this all out of the way and then we'll get started. I just realized that I forgot one ingredient. I'm not baking a cake here, Katya. I forgot one article of material. You will also need some Tyvek. So I've got a Tyvek envelope here. You can get them at most office supply stores. It's just a very awesome, like a rip preventive material. You can't rip it. You can cut it, but you can't rip this stuff. So I use this in the construction of the cover. Okay, so Tyvek. By the way, if you have not seen the walkthrough for these albums yet, I'll put a link in the description box below so that you can go check them out. Okay, perfect. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we are going to be doing our base pages first. So you'll need 4 pieces of cardstock that measure 8.25 by 11 inches. And then you will need 8 strips that are 1 inch by 5.5 inches. I'm doing it this way because I didn't have any 12 by 12 cardstock, and I wanted the pages to be 8.25 tall by 5.5 wide, and so I had to do it this way because they weren't these pieces weren't quite big enough to do it without using these strips. There are many ways you can create base pages, so this is just how we're going to do it today. All right, so grab your scoreboard and we are going to score each of these large pieces at 5.5 right down the middle. Okay, so score all 4 of those at 5.5 down the center. Just realized that some light might be helpful. Okay, and then all of your little strips you're going to score right down the center at half. So these are going to be like little hinges that are going to hold the pages together. Okay, grab your bone folder out. You can put your scoring board away for a moment. And now we are going to crease all of those score lines. When you score a piece of paper, there's the indent and then there's the raised edge. We call the indent the valley and the raised edge is the mountain. So we're going to fold it so that the valley becomes the mountain. So we're folding with the indented side up, and then that's turning into a mountain, if that makes sense. It just helps with keep the integrity of the paper, the way the fibers of the paper are. It just helps to keep them intact. Okay, so then you're also going to score all of your little hinges. Or not score all your hinges, you're gonna fold and crease all of your hinges. Okay, so I'll get that done and I will come right back. Okay, then we are going to add some score tape to both sides of the hinge. Okay, so the fold is this way, okay? So on the tented side, we're going to put our score tape and make sure you don't go over that score line in the center. Sorry, the light in here is pretty bad. It's very dark and windy outside right now, so it's a little bit dim in my room here. Hopefully you can see everything okay. So just to save a little bit of time, I have done most of them. So if you'd like, you can just pause the video and get caught up to this point. And when you are ready to go, we are going to take our scissors and we are just going to miter the corners just a little bit. So from the folded side, you're just gonna snip off a little bit at an angle. Okay, so fold it, and then, so the folded side is going to be a little bit longer than the open side. And it doesn't have to be very much. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all of them. Okay, so once you've done all of that, now we can grab our base pages. So we're going to put one of the hinges at the top and one at the bottom and then close it up so that it forms our base page. Okay, so this is where the wet adhesive comes in. I like to use the double-sided tape, the score tape, and wet adhesive in conjunction with each other. The reason I do this is the score tape eventually will break down and your elements will start to actually come apart and unstick. So I use the wet adhesive because it is a little bit stronger. I guess I could use wet adhesive just on its own, but I feel like it really sticks well if you use both. So if you want to just use wet adhesive, that is totally fine. Or if you want to just use score tape, that's also totally fine. But just know that it won't stand the longevity test of time. So we're making sure that the open side is towards the center of the page. The other nice thing about using them in conjunction is the fact that the score tape allows things to stick you know, kind of in place, but then the wet adhesive added to it gives you that just a few seconds of wiggle room if you haven't got it placed down perfectly right away. Okay, so give that a good burnish, and then you've got your base page. So it's open on one end. This is where it's going to attach to our binding system, and then closed on the other end. Okay, so we're going to do that process 3 more times. Okay, I'm going to maybe do this off camera just to save a bit of time, because this video is already going to be 2 parts, and I don't want it to be super, super, super long. So I will finish this off camera, and you just follow all those same simple steps to get your base pages together. Alright, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, once you've got your 4 base pages done here, we can start doing the actual page designs. So we'll set the actual base pages aside for a second, and the pieces that you will need for the first page, you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 4 5/8 by 5 1/2. 2 of those, and then 1 piece that is 5 1/4 by 3 5/8 inches. Okay, grab your scoreboard. We're going to score both of those A pieces, the larger pieces, at 1/2 inch on the 4 5/8 inch side. Okay, and the B piece doesn't need to be scored. So now we're going to add a bit of double-sided tape to the 1/2 inch section on those 2 pieces. I'm trying to get just one of them. Come here. Thank you. Okay, so again, making sure not to go over the score line itself. You don't want any stickiness on the actual fold. Okay, so there's that. And then we're going to miter the corners. I'm just going to do them both together because they're the same size. So I'm just going to snip a little bit off, starting at the score line and going out to the edge of the page. So it looks like that. And then we'll get rid of the biddies and then fold and crease those score lines. Grab your first base page, make sure the opening is on the left-hand side. I'm going to remove the score tape, add a little bit of wet adhesive, and add these to the top and the bottom of the base page. I put the glue, and then I tend to use my finger to just smooth it out, just so you don't have any possibility of glue seeping out where it's not supposed to go. Okay, so 1 to the top and 1 to the bottom. Okay, and they should meet at center. Just like that. And then this piece doesn't get any scoring or anything. It is going to be our closure, but we're not going to adhere it down until we have the pattern paper all ready to go. So in the meantime, I am just going to put these all together with a paper clip, just so we don't lose any pieces while we are continuing on. Okay, there's page 1. I'm going to flip that over, but set it aside for a second, and the pieces that you will need for page 2 are your first piece, your A piece, is 4 inches by 9 1/4. Your B piece is 4 inches by 8 1/4. Your C piece is 5 inches by 7 3/4. Okay, so get those cut and grab your scoreboard. So the A piece, we are going to score at 1/2 on the 4 inch side. Okay, And then we're gonna rotate it 180 degrees. So it's now on the 9 1/4 inch side. And we're going to score again at half and at 8 3/4. So this is going to be a pocket. Okay, so that's your A piece. And then your B piece, we are going to score at half on the 4-inch side. And the C piece doesn't need any scoring. So again, set your scoreboard to the side. We will add some score tape to all of those 1/2 inch sections. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, and then we're gonna miter our corners. So the B piece is very straightforward. It's just the regular miter. The A piece on the open end here, cut it like regular, and then where the corners meet, we're gonna cut in at an angle until you get to where the score lines meet, and then you're just gonna angle things out a little bit, angle your scissors out a bit, just to create kind of an angled cut. Okay, so we'll do that on the other side. You can cut straight across if you like. I just find this makes it a little bit neater. Okay, now we're going to fold and crease all of those score lines. The score tape will always go on the valley side, so the indented side is where the score tape is going to go. So this is where the indents were, so that's where the score tape goes. Okay, and now grab that base page that we were just working on, flip it over. The pocket is going to adhere to the left-hand side. So I like to take my sides off first. Add just a little bit of wet adhesive. Smooth it out. And then fold the bottom piece so that it just adheres just in the corners. Okay, and then take the bottom bit of score tape off. Oops. Causing chaos. Yesterday I was working with some mica powder, and this looks like it's full, but it's just what's on the lid, because it's actually empty because I left it open and then I dumped the entire thing into a drawer full of stuff. It was really fun to clean. Oh, yeah, sounded like a trucker for a couple minutes, and then and then it was all good again. Okay, so that's just going down on the left-hand side, and then your B piece is going to adhere to the right side. Line it up as straight as you can. Okay, and then your C piece is just going to be an insert. Okay, so that can just hang out there. We are going to add a magnet to this one right now. So I'm going to take just a little piece of score tape. I'm going to put it onto my pocket. You want it to be roughly centered top to bottom, and at least a 1/2 inch from the edge here. You're going to take 2 tiny little magnets and place them both on that piece of tape. Make a little magnet sandwich, put another piece of tape on top, and then close the flap and magnets are so strong. And now you've got a magnet on either side. I like to put a piece of score tape over top of each of the magnets because they are very strong and sometimes they'll actually come back off the page. Okay, so there is your page 2. So set that aside. Moving right along. Page 3 is super simple. We need one piece of cardstock that is 6 inches by 8 1/4 inches. We are going to score that sucker at half on the 6-inch side. And bada bing, bada boom, that's it. We're going to put some score tape on that one line and miter the corner. Corners. There's more than one. Boop. And boop. Okay, fold and crease. Bring in your next base page. Opening is on the left, and this piece is going to go onto the right-hand side of the base page. I mean, if you prefer to have it on the left, that's fine too. You do you. I'm going to put mine on the right-hand side, but whichever side you prefer. Okay. Okay, and we are going to put a magnet on this one as well. So same process, little piece of score tape. I'm putting mine just slightly higher than the halfway mark because I'm going to put a little piece of ribbon right at center as a little pull tab kind of thing to open this flap. And so you know that there's a flap to open. Okay, and we'll just cover, see what I mean? Like they just want to, like, there we go. You almost have to slide them apart. And then we'll put some more score tape on top of those. Okay, perfect. That is your page 3. Pieces for page 4. Okay, page 4 is a little bit more, not advanced, but just has a few more steps. Okay, so your piece A is going to be 11 inches by 3 3/4 inches. You're going to need 4 B pieces, and they measure 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. You'll need one C piece, which is 6 inches by 1 1/2 inches. And your D piece is 6 1/2 by 3 3/4. Okay, so get those cut, grab your scoreboard. Okay, so along the 11-inch side of piece A, we are going to score at half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, and 9. Okay, so again, that's half, 1, 1 1/2, 2, and 9. Okay, your B pieces don't need to be scored at all. Your C piece, put it in on the 6-inch side, and we're going to score it at 1, 1 1/8, 4 7/8, and 5. So we're just going to be creating 2 little gussets there. Oh gosh, can you see that? Can you see those little gussets? I hope so. Okay. All right, and then the D piece as well does not need to be scored. Okay, so put your scoreboard away for a moment. Okay, so we're gonna crease all of these score lines. Okay, so we're going to take the 4 little 1/2 inch sections and fold them, and then flip this over. So you've got the 4 1/2 inch sections, and then you've got this little flap down here. Okay, and now we're going to put score tape on each one of these 1/2 inch sections. Okay, just like that. And now we're going to take our B pieces, and we're going to start with the bottom 1/2 inch section. And adhere one of those B pieces right there. Make sure, here, just gonna bring you in a little bit, I think. Okay, so just be really careful about making sure that these are lined up nice and evenly. You don't want to go over the score line, but you want to make sure that they are nice and even with the edge. You want all of this to be very even. Okay, and then the next one. And be very careful not to go over the score lines with your B pieces. Okay, so the next one is going to go over top of that first one and make sure that they're nicely lined up. Make sure that that fold can still fold. And the last one. Okay, so now you've got this thing that goes like that, but we still have to add a couple more elements to it to actually make it to do that on its own. All right, so this is where our C piece comes in. So we're gonna fold and crease these score lines here, our little baby gussets. We have the gusset because it's gonna kind of wrap around this whole thing. So the folds are going like this. We're going to put adhesive here and here, and then we're going to flip it over and just put the adhesive in the center on the other side. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple lines of score tape on the ends. And then flip it over and put your score tape in the center section. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I want you to flip it to the first B piece that you put down, okay? This center part here is going to adhere down to the bottom of the first B piece that you put down, okay? So when you look at it like this, it's gonna go underneath those ones. Okay, so flip those 3 back and it's gonna go at the very bottom of the first B piece. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove the score tape and add a little bit of wet adhesive. Okay, so it's just gonna go right down at the bottom. Make sure that it's in between those 2 gusset lines. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the back. You can still see those little gussets there. Okay, and on the front, it looks like that. So it's right at the bottom of that last B. Okay, when you close these back down, it looks like that. Now this little flap is still hanging out here. So what we're gonna do here is put some adhesive on it. And then we are going to adhere our D piece just like this onto it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some wet adhesive here. I have my D piece a little bit long, so I'm gonna trim mine down. Okay, I'm gonna go 6 1/4 instead of 6 1/2. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, so your choice. You could leave it at 6 1/2. I'm trimming mine down to 6 1/4. I'm gonna change that in my instructions. Okay, so now we can just adhere that to this piece. Okay, so just adhering that down. Okay, and then when it folds up, we've got about 5/8 of an inch here. Where's my ruler? So there's 5/8 of an inch at the top there. So you can make this D piece even shorter if you want. It depends just how much of a pull flap you want, because this is going to be the pull flap. So these are going to be attached to the page. Eventually, it will work better when it's like attached to the page. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to kind of reinforce these creases. The better the folds are creased, the better the whole mechanism will roll. All right, and for now, we're just going to leave it at that. We are going to put one magnet here, but we're not going to attach it to our page as of yet because we want to put our pattern paper on first. So we've got the whole thing made, but we're not going to attach it quite yet. But I'm going to put that one magnet right here. Okay. Perfect. All right, so I would suggest maybe just, so we just finished doing page 3 here. So flip it over and just kind of clip this for now. I'm just going to use a paper clip and just clip it together for now so we know that that goes with that. And then we'll get our pieces for page 5. Your piece A is 4 inches by 6 inches. Your B piece is going to be 5 1/2 by 5 1/8. And your piece C is 7 1/2 by 10. Okay, so grab your scoreboard. We're gonna score the A piece at 1/2 on the 4-inch side. And then we're gonna rotate it. So now it's on the 6 1/2 inch side, and we are going to score again at 1/2 and at 6. This is going to be another pocket. We're going to score the B piece at 1/2 on the 5 1/8 inch side. And then your C piece, we're going to score on the 10-inch side, right down the middle at 5. And that's going to be your insert. Okay, so put your scoreboard away. Miter the corners. Okay, grab your last base page. The opening is on the left-hand side. We are going to take our A piece, the pocket, and we're going to put it on the bottom of the base page. Okay, so doing the sides first. Okay, and that just goes right down here. Okay, and now your B piece is going to adhere to the top of the base page. Okay, so it almost meets the pocket, and then the C piece just folds and goes into the pocket, and that's what keeps that flap closed, like that. Okay. All right, so that is page 5. And then the pieces for page 6, just 2 of them, and they're the same size. So we need 2 that are 5.5 by 7 3/4. Sorry, that's, my pen was starting to run out, so that says 7 3/4. Okay, grab your scoreboard. We will score each of these on the 7 1/4 inch side, and we're scoring them at half and 4 1/4. Okay, just like that. And the other one, half and 4 1/4. And I'm just gonna maybe redo this one because I managed to write it exactly where the score line is, and I don't want that. So I'm just gonna quickly recut this one. So add your score tape, and then mind the corners. Get rid of the biddies, fold and crease. So they're both going towards the center, both of the folds. Okay, so you have something that looks like this. Here's the 1/2 inch section and here's the flap. Okay, and then bring in that base page. I just realized that we made 4 base pages, but we only need 3 base pages. Apparently my brain is out of practice with this. Okay, so grab the base page that you were just working on. We're gonna flip it over. The opening is on the right-hand side, and I'm only human. Born to make mistakes. And sing badly. So we are going to adhere our 2 pieces centered top to bottom on the left and the right edge of this base page. And I'm just gonna eyeball it. Feel free to measure exactly. I want to make sure that this is even with the first one that we put down. I want them to be in line with each other. Okay, and then I'm gonna have a magnet going from one flap to the other. You can have the right over the left, left over the right, whichever way you want to do it. It matters not. Okay, I'm gonna have mine going right over left. So I'm gonna put a piece of score tape somewhere around there. And put 2 magnets magnetized together. Another little bit of score tape. And close her up. Perfect. And now add a little bit of score tape to cover these. Okay, fabulous. So those are your 6 page designs. That's how many We're in the albums, 6, not 8. All right, so set those aside, and now we're gonna work on our cover. Okay, so for the cover, you need 2 pieces of chipboard. The front and the back covers will be 6 inches by 9 inches, and the spine will be 2 1/4 inches by 9 inches. And then the paper that will be the chipboard, the cardstock that we will be covering them with, the spine cover piece will be 4 inches by 11 inches, and the 2 cardstock pieces for covering the main part of the covers are 8 inches by 11 inches. Okay, so get all that cut. Now we're gonna add some score tape to the chipboard, and also wet adhesive. So again, if you'd prefer to just use wet adhesive, that is totally tickety-boo. Okay, so I'm going to remove the backing here, add some wet adhesive, and then adhere it onto the cardstock. So center it down onto the cardstock. Okay, and then we are going to put score tape all the way around the perimeter of that. Okay, and then we're going to, just like we did with the corners, we're going to cut in at an angle and out at an angle. Okay, get rid of the biddies. Remove a piece of score tape. Put a little bit of wet adhesive. Okay, and then I kind of like to just train it to go where you want it a little bit. Just give it a little help. And there we go. And then just go around all 4 sides doing that. Okay, and now I like to just kind of take my scissors and push in the little corner just a little bit, just so it kind of rounds it a little bit when we fold it over. It's an optional step though. And then do the 2 ends here. If you get any glue seepage, just get rid of it with a paper towel or whatever. Okay, so there we go. There's our spine piece covered. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the 2 large pieces. Okay, so once you've got your tape onto the covers, we can do the same process and stick them onto the cardstock. Okay, and center that down, and then add your tape around the edge. Measure the corners. And wrap it up. Okay, and then the last side. Okay, so I'm gonna do the last one off camera now that you know what to do, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now this is where the Tyvek comes in. So now you're gonna need a couple Tyvek strips that are 2 inches by about 24 inches. So what I do is I take the envelope and then while I cut off one end of it and then cut it into strips and then open it up. Okay, so they would be like this. Okay, so there's the envelope, so I cut it like this and then cut it open to form one long strip. So I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about what if you don't have Tyvek? Well, you can wrap the whole thing all together as one big kind of sheet. So you'd take like a couple pieces of cardstock and then you would adhere your chipboard, you know, to it with a little space in between. Obviously this piece of chipboard or cardstock isn't big enough, but you'd get enough cardstock that you would lay all your pieces down onto the cardstock and then wrap everything all together. So that is an option. I prefer the Tyvek because the Tyvek in between the pieces of your cover aren't going to rip and tear over time, whereas cardstock with the opening and closing, eventually the spaces in between these pieces will rip. So with the Tyvek, that's not going to happen. So that's why I prefer the Tyvek. And it is readily available online. You can, it's spelled T-Y-V-E-C. No, it's not. It's spelled it's spelled T-Y-V-E-K. And so you can find that online anywhere, like Amazon. There's like so many shops that sell it. So, all right, so you can look for it there. So I have some double-sided tape on this 2-inch by 24-inch strip of Tyvek. I'm just removing the backing, and then I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't muck them up. And put a little bit of wet adhesive on this as well. Just a couple strips. Smear it just a little with my finger. Okay, and now we're going to lay this lengthwise like this, and take one of our covers and put it just shy of halfway into the Tyvek. I know the Tyvek's white on white, so it's hard to see. So there it is. So it's about halfway. The spine piece is going to go on to the other part of the Tyvek. You're going to leave a space. I've got like a little more than 1/8 of an inch, almost 1/4 of an inch in between. And then you're going to pull the Tyvek up from the bottom and then pull it down from the top and wrap it all the way around and give it a good burnish. And there you go. So that is that seam right there is never going to tear. All right, we're going to do the same thing with this one here. Want to come say hi, Zuri? I'm sure everybody would want to see you. He's playing shy. It's my cat. He used to be in videos all the time, and lately he's been a little bit camera shy. Hey, buddy? Okay, so again, I'm going to lay that like that. I'm going to put the spine piece about halfway in, and then the other part of the cover right here. Make sure they're all lined up, and then pull this up like that, and then pull this one down. Okay, and there you go. There is your cover. All right, so we've got the cover done and we've got the basis of our pages done. So we're gonna leave it there for today, and then tomorrow I'll be back with part 2, and then we'll put on our pattern paper, we'll do our binding system, we'll add our pages into the album, do all the finishing touches, and all that jazz. All right, so I hope you enjoyed part 1, and I will see you tomorrow to finish off our album. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Big hugs. Love you all. Bye.